Hello and welcome, everyone. It is episode 88 of 55 at 5. Ian, Cary, AJ from Bisson Creative and Web Design.
Not to be confused with 2 4s, a hard 8.
Hard 8.
We got
double eights.
Double eights.
double
Not to be
eight.
confused with double O.
Double O.
Double A, double E, double I.
You can check out that reference on Last Stop Penn Station, wherever you get your podcasts. And Cary, today on 55 and 5, the 55 Parkhurst Wrestling set history lesson. Interesting guy. He only wrestled for about 3 years, as far as I could tell, but he could make a mean milkshake.
Really?
Yeah. So we're going to show this gentleman to the crowd. And I'm noticing a pattern with these late numbered cards. This card is 109. And Cary, with baseball cards around this time, the later you were in the set, the more obscure you were. It's possible you were a call-up or you were a late season addition to the team. And this man in bare feet,
oh wow,
only wrestled regularly, quote unquote, regularly from 45 to 48. What can you tell me about Martin Hutzler?
He was not in Mr. Ed.
He was not in Mr. Ed like earlier in the week, Matt
or
Murphy.
On the Munsters.
No.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah. So thank God for Greg Oliver, because I haven't either.
Yeah, real quick before you read this, Greg Oliver. Yeah. Sometimes when we're doing the poster of the week, just you come across like let me pull out this name.
Yeah.
And Greg Oliver has such, we know Dave Meltzer has these great obituaries, but Greg Oliver is right up there.
Absolutely. And he's such a great historian and documents the lesser known wrestlers.
I was going to say the more obscure.
Right. And he has such a passion for keeping these names alive. What we're trying to do here, a lot of times if they are Canadian, like Martin Hutzler, you will just be able to Google him and a result from Greg Oliver comes up. And that was the jumping off point that I used. Thank you, Greg, and Slam Wrestling, because Greg notes that Martin Hutzler, not a very famous wrestler, his family escaped Nazi Germany in 1939, came to as a Jewish man, comes to the United States and opens a restaurant. And it's a very popular steakhouse. So from 45 to 48, he's a wrestler.
Does it mention where the steakhouse was?
It does. Hamilton, Ontario. And Hutzler Steakhouse has a couple names. Martin's was another name. It goes through a couple different names. But it's still beloved. If you go on Hamilton Facebook pages, you will see people pining for this to come back. And one of the reasons is it had a miniature wrestling ring in the restaurant. So, so it was a very neat experience, and it catered to athletes and celebrities.
Maybe a little bit like the DePaulo restaurant in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. There's Ilio DePaulo.
Right.
His son. We went there when Ring of Honor ran Buffalo many years ago, but it was wrestling themed, like Mr. Hutzler's.
Yeah, and it had, if you go on and if you Google his name, it's interesting because it's very difficult to find a picture of him wrestling, but it's not difficult to find him with Gordie Howe, with different hockey players of the time, with celebrities, with actors, with other wrestlers in his restaurant. So it's very interesting that his wrestling career wasn't very kind of big or memorable. In fact, he's got he's got results in newspapers. He does not have them on Cage Match, which is one of the more reliable sources for wrestling information. So interesting life. Very famous for his sports connections. It was known as the place to go after the events. They were known for their milkshakes and steaks. And interestingly enough, he wrestled as one of the...
Wait, you couldn't get a drink there?
You could. So here, that's actually noted in Greg's article, that you'd have to essentially petition him directly. And he
didn't have a liquor license.
No, but they would find a way to get it to you. Okay. So that's one of the fun things. He wrestled as a masked twin also. So there's various tag teams called the Masked Twins. He was a masked twin. Finally, there's local newspaper coverage, which is quite cute, that interviews the folks that have eaten at this restaurant. And they're always aghast that the heroes and villains were seen eating together and fraternizing in the restaurant.
I'm sure the promoters didn't like that. Then.
Right. Yeah. So that's an interesting thing that you can find if you comb through the Facebook pages, if you comb through the newspaper articles.
Well, you do really good research. You're digging out these facts about guys like Mr. Hutzler, keeping his memory alive.
Yeah.
But as you said, apparently his restaurant is it still?
As far as I can tell, it closed early in the 2000s.
Okay.
But that meant it had a 60 or 70 year run. And when he unfortunately passed away in 66, it appears his wife took over and ran the business for quite a while. And then she had sold off the steakhouse. And I don't believe it's called Martin's any longer, but I do believe there's a different restaurant there. But it was very much beloved and a staple of the Hamilton, Ontario community.
Very cool.
Yeah. So learn a little bit more about Mr. Hutzler today. So that was a good one.
It was a good one.
And if you ever want to see Martin Hutzler with Gordie Howe, just type in Martin Hutzler, Gordie Howe, and the picture will show up on Google. So we encourage you to do that. We encourage you to hit subscribe right here on this YouTube channel and stay here for tomorrow, because at 8 p.m. each and every weekday from here on out, we are bringing you another athlete until we get through all 121. And tomorrow is a man that wrestled in the same territory for 32 years.
Wow.
So we talked about homesteading athletes. This is one of them, Cary.
All right.
So for Cary Silkin, for AJ, I'm Ian Riccaboni. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with episode 89 of 55 and 5.